Hello everybody and welcome to another video on my thought process and creation of 3 images which I am putting up on the screen now. I had an idea the other day, and it's always dangerous when I have ideas, but in my previous video I showed you some tree edits that were captured in this lovely little woodland near me, and I thought I would give it a go to go down there, and I actually took some images of the leaves on the trees looking up into the sky and overexposing the image by about 2 stops, which has given me these images, which I was sort of quite pleased with, and I thought there was something I could do with them. So I brought it back to the computer and I started playing around doing blend modes with various images that I'd already created to see what effect I could get. And after probably playing around with it for a couple of days, I came up with these 3 images. So I'm going to run through with you the thought process and the settings that I used in iColorama to achieve these final images. Now, after going through all the various images I took of the leaves on the trees, I ended up choosing this one to play around with. So we've opened it up in iColorama, and I wanted to change the colour palette on it. I wasn't really pleased with the way the colour palette was. So I went into tones and I actually went through all the various enhance presets, and nothing really there took my fancy. So I then went into Assign and again went through all the various presets until I came across one that I liked, which ended up being a number 19, which was that. And I liked the red. I thought that was really suited the image. So I saved that setting so that we can reopen it in a minute. And I then went through all my a lot of my previous images that I have saved to see which one I thought would mate up with it well, and I ended up choosing this one. So I thought, actually it's fair to say that this wasn't my first choice. I had played around with a few other images, but none of them seemed to really work. But I ended up playing around with this one to see what effect I could get. So we're now going to blend that image that we've just created of the trees. And at the time, I clicked on the fill, which filled the whole canvas. And then I went through the various presets to see which one suited the image and ended up picking Pinlight. And I really like that, or I did at the time, and I actually saved that. But when I came back to look at it the following day, I really wasn't certain about it. In actual fact, I ended up deleting it. But I did think that there was something there, so I came back into it and I actually unclicked the fill. And do you know what? I actually quite liked that. I like the fact that on the left and the right of the canvas you've got the original image of the plant, and in the middle you have this beautiful red and the sort of light bubbles, if you like, which were created from the sky coming through the trees, really sort of suited it. So I thought that was probably better than the previous one. So I actually saved that again and put it into Capture NX2 and just did a few tweaks on it, which I will show you now. And after a couple of days of living with it, I still actually like it. So we're going to NX2 and show you what I did to it in there. So we've opened up the image in Capture NX2. The first thing I did was just sharpen the image up in the high pass filter, which I normally do with my images. The next thing I looked at was the saturation. So I gave it 35% saturation, which gave me that. I just thought it made the reds pop a little bit more, quite like that. Active delighting was just to control the lost highlights, basically. I don't mind losing the shadows, but I do try and control the highlights. And the last thing I did to this, I didn't like this sort of horrible, this bit here, it was a bit grey and horrible. So I did a colour control point and copied, basically, this section here, which just made that turn a little bit more red and a little bit more pleasing to the eye. And that was it. I was actually very happy with this, and after a few days, which is always a good sign, I do actually still like it. Image number 2, I am going to create it from this image, which I took a few months ago, which I've picked out of the library of images, and we're going to blend that with the image of the leaves, which I have just shown you, which I turned to red. The first thing I wanted to do is, and I must say that I did play around with this image for a long time, and nothing was really working until I found a setting. And I think this is the thing with this sort of imagery, that you have just got to keep trying all the different perhaps colour palettes until something jumps out at you and you think that could end up being something special. So it's all a case of sitting at the iPad and just sort of playing with it. So we're going to go into a black and white, and I went through all the various presets and nothing really struck me as being any good until I came across number 61, and I really liked that. It's basically inverted the image. It's turned the blacks to whites and whites to blacks. So I thought I would see what the overlay looks like. So we applied that setting, and we're now going to reopen the image of the leaves that I turned red, and we're going to click on fill so it fills the whole canvas, and then I'm going to go through the various presets of the blend modes until I found something that I thought suited it, and I was quite happy with lighten, so I thought we would keep that, and I applied that setting. What I didn't like was this right hand bottom corner. I thought was a little bit just sort of, there was nothing there, and it just really didn't do anything for the image, and I wanted to put something there. So what I did is I reopened in the blend mode the image of the leaves again, click on fill, and I quite liked this a red spot down in the bottom right hand corner, and I thought that could probably fill that space, but I didn't want any of the rest of it. So we clicked on the brush mask, and I actually deleted that whole setting from the canvas, and then I went into the erase brush and I just clicked on the bottom right hand corner, which has brought back that red spot, and I think that was just right to fill that dead space, if you like. So we're going to apply that setting. And I went through next all the various colour palettes again to see what we could come up with. And I ended up picking Enhance number 9. And I quite like that. So what I did, and I'm not going to bother showing you what I did to that image in Capture NX2 this time, because I know hardly any of you use that software. I think most of you use Photoshop or Lightroom. So all I did to this image was just played around with the various contrast and saturation and various colour settings until I ended up with this image, which I was very pleased with. And I actually slept on this image for a couple of days, and I'm still very pleased. I think it's my favourite actually out of the 3 images that I'm showing you. So yeah, that was number 2. Now before we get into the third and final image, I must say that the whole idea of these videos for you is not so that you can sort of recreate what I've done in the certain settings. It's to give you an idea of my thought process when I'm creating these images, and hopefully you can sort of do the same and sort of make your own unique images from iColorama. So that's the whole idea. So sometimes, the only reason I say that is sometimes when I try to recreate these images to show you how I did it, they do turn out a little bit different. A bit of an oddball with iColorama. You can go into the same settings and they do give you a slightly different result. But as I say, it's not all about you being able to recreate them. It's about giving you an idea of the thought process behind them. So anyway, enough of that said. I went back into this initial image of the trees, the leaves on the trees, and I again played around with this in the various colour settings. And one setting that I did come up against, which I was really pleased with and I thought it would make for a good image, is in a sign. We picked out number 30, which gave me that result, and I quite like that. I like the colour palette of it, and I like the effect that it created in that image, and I thought there might well be something in that I could make something from. So again, I saved that so we can reopen it in a minute. I used to take images of flowers many years ago, and I've still kept them, and I thought blending a flower with this might work. So I actually went through all my flower images and ending up picking this one. So I thought I would see how that blended with the previous image we've just created. I did try some other flower images and none seemed to work, and in all fairness, this one did take me a long time to find something that I eventually liked. So we're now going to blend with that the image that I've just made from the leaves, and I'm going to go through the various blend modes until I found something that I liked. And in this particular case, after going through the various ones, I did actually pick hue. Nothing else really seemed to work for me, but I quite liked that. But I didn't particularly like the way it had gone over the flower. So we opened up our brush mask and I'm just going to delete that setting off the flower, and we can actually click on show, and it shows us where the mask is, so we're happy with that. So I applied that setting again, didn't particularly like this with the colour palette, and I did go through various colour palettes. Nothing seemed to really work until I came to black and white. Oh sorry, no, but that's one thing with iColorama. If you use a brush mask and you apply that setting, you do have to go back into your steps and reopen it, otherwise that brush mask continues to be applied for your next setting. So that's something worth bearing in mind. So anyway, getting back to black and white, again I went through the various black and white settings until I came to number 12, and I really liked that. That was something really different, and I thought that really worked for this image. So we're going to apply that setting, and I'm actually going to save that now, and I am going to open this up in NX2 and just show you what I did to it, because I want to show you what I didn't particularly like about it and how you can change it. So we'll open this up in NX2. Okay, so we've opened up this image in Capture NX2, and I quite liked it, but I thought a few tweaks here and there could improve on it. The first thing I did was just sharpen the image slightly in the high pass filter, which I do to most of my images, and I thought that the flower was a little bit on the dull side, I thought. So we went into levels and curves and just brightened the highlights up a little bit, which I thought made the flower pop a little bit more. I did check for noise in the image, and there was a little bit because when I took this image of the flower, there was a bit of noise in that anyway, because it wasn't all in focus, which was my technique of taking flower images at the time. So we get a little bit of noise reduction. I thought that the black area of the image wasn't really black enough. I thought it would make the flower stand out a lot more if I darken that off. So we turned the shadows down a bit, but I didn't really want that setting on the flower itself. Neither did I want it in this bottom left hand corner. So I'm going to turn on the levels and curves and show you that is the overlay that I deleted. So we deleted the setting from those areas. If we turn that off now, so if I turn that on and off, you can see it's just made the black bits, the dark areas, darker, and I think it works because I think it makes the flower stand out a lot more. And the final thing I did to this was give it a little crop, just so there wasn't as much dark space in the top area, and that was it. I was very happy with that at the end of the day. A little bit on the abstract side, which is sort of me all over. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. I hope this video has been a little bit helpful, or it's given you some ideas, which is, let's be honest about it, abstract is all about coming up with new ideas to create these very different images that I personally love doing, and I'm sure anybody who watches my videos enjoys doing as well. So until the next video that I put out of some of my images, I think I said in the last video that my images are always up for sale as prints. If any of them you think you would like to see on your wall. If you do, just go over to my website where the link is below and just email me and I'll get in touch. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Until the next time, this is John Dexter saying bye for now.